Williamson. Which one of them invented Jenga? You might find out on I Don't Know About That with Jim Jefferies.
Wow.
That was
Why'd you do that one?
Just,
Why not?
What else am I going to do?
No, but I mean, like, why did...
Because I wanted it to make it go to the end of the song. I wanted it to be purpose. I wanted to have some...
I was waiting for you to sing. I thought you were going to sing.
I wanted to have a bit of something different. Different. When does this one come out? When does it come out?
A couple days.
A couple of days. Oh, it's good. I can say. Just went to Bert Kreischer's movie.
The Machine.
Machine. Great film. Go and see The Machine. But more than anything, what a wonderful night that was. What a wonderful... I couldn't have been happier for a person. He got up in front of that theatre. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he with his parents in the room and everything, he said, "This is the best day of my life." And there's so few people get to say that or actually know their moment, or their moment's never that big, you know what I mean? It was wonderful to watch someone just... I've always had a problem myself with smelling the roses of big moments, but... that man knows how to smell the roses, and
I'll tell you what else though. That's good that I like is that there's comedians coming out with movies again now, like him. Sebastian Maniscalco's about
This is good for our community.
Yeah,
Bert doing well is good for all of us doing well, because for the longest time we just haven't had comedians becoming movie stars anymore, and that used to be commonplace. Now you'll get a sitcom, and then if the sitcom doesn't work, you're over with your TV or whatever like that. And the idea of, like, unless we write it ourselves or whatever, but there used to just be comedians doing comedies, and now you'll get people who are UCB people or Groundlings people, and then they'll just put Bradley Cooper in. I got nothing against Bradley Cooper or the who's the guy who goes, all right.
Matthew McConaughey.
They'll just go, he's the lead of a comedy. Here's an idea, movie producers, put a comedian in.
So you're saying improv people too, but they're not using them as well.
Improv people as well, but stand-up comedians. How about you?
Chris Rock is like the last. I know, maybe I'm not thinking.
But even Chris Rock wasn't properly utilized. Jim Carrey, we've had different, but
Sandler,
and all that type of stuff. But it's been a long time between drinks that we've had a new person come through. So I hope
we have a bunch coming out now.
I hope this movie fucking does gangbusters. Me and my wife had a really great time, and I want to thank Bert for inviting us. We had a wonderful time. And it was just, I couldn't be happier for the film.
I didn't realize that this was a story about his actual life. So he has Van Wilder, which was about his college life, plus this.
Well, they fictionalized at the end, but yeah.
This one you're talking about?
Yeah, this is
based off of
but it's still based off a story from his life.
Yeah, but it's like
he's got
saying
a fucking
legit
wild...
was my life or whatever. There's certain
But it's based in reality, yeah.
Right.
You didn't see Dave, our buddy Dave Williamson. You did not see him?
I saw Dave was on the carpet. And they asked me to do an interview and stuff, but I was sort of... Right. Then I went on the red carpet. No one gave a shit.
You didn't do an interview with him?
I was going to...
Because he asked me how to pronounce your wife's name, so...
I was trying to get in there, and then it was like... It's like, hey, Jim, can you come back and do an interview? And I just didn't want to walk back. Is it my time yet? If it was free, it was easy. I was just pulled off the carpet to do it. I just... there was tacos to eat, man.
Yeah, there was food trucks.
Yeah, there was tacos, and there was pizza, and there was full burgers, not like sliders, full fucking burgers, man. and it was a hell of a night. And I didn't get to meet Mark Hamill because I was being stopped for photos, so obviously Mark would have been mobbed being Luke Skywalker. I was thinking about how hard his life would be from time to time. But everyone was. It was magical. I can't. I've been to a lot of premieres and stuff like that. That was the
it looked fun, yeah.
The funnest.
I mean, he seems like the type of person who would have a really fun.
Man, the reason this guy's funny, he's funny comedian, all that type of stuff, because he brings the party. Mm-hmm. When you're around him, you feel like anything could happen. That's the whole idea of Machine. There was just this bloke who drank all the time that even people who are Russian could pick up on and go, oh, this guy's fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a quality that not many people... I don't bring the fucking... But like people always say to me, and they go, oh, I'd love to party with you sometime. What, do cocaine in a dodgy nightclub off a toilet seat? That's where I was at. There were some very dark times in my partying. I never kept it light.
Well, let me tell you, it looked really fun. And as people may or may not know, I do a podcast with Dave Williamson, who was working the red carpet, interviewing people. And yesterday around I don't know, 3 o'clock or something on the phone. I was right before, he was getting ready to go there. He goes, yeah, now that I think about it, I could have gotten you a ticket. I don't know why I did. And I was like, yeah.
Come on, Dave.
So anyways, I'm doing a podcast with Dave in about 5 hours today, so that's going to be brought up, trust me.
I've already written to Dave and apologized for not talking to him.
Fuck that guy. He didn't give me a ticket. Fucking podcast with him. I saw Bert's thing where he's like, you got food trucks? And I'm like, what the fuck?
It was a fun. And also, Bert did something that if I had a movie, there's things I do well. My speech before the film would be good. I know how to tell a story. I know how to be funny. I know how to be, engaging on the red carpet and talk to people and that type of stuff. But the camera crew followed him. He's like, okay, here we are. I'm going to try. He's flipping cups with people. Then he was throwing axes with people. And then he's like off to the next bit. Then he's eating a burger and stuff like that. I would have... No, I don't have the energy.
The social media content comes very naturally to him, whereas you are very against social media, doing any type of videos like that.
You would do one thing, you're like, do we have to do more of this?
I'm like, I'm funny on the screen. Just watch that thing we just did.
Yeah, I spent time on that.
It looked cool. I dropped Jim and his wife off. It looked cool from the outside.
Yeah. Jack
nice bird shit covered CRV dropped him off on the red carpet.
My wife was skimpy outfitted. Yeah. She went for it. Bit of fun.
Yeah.
She was very happy to be there. And then we went out a little bit afterwards, and then we came home, watched a couple episodes of Smigadoon, and ordered a pizza and had sex. What a great night.
That's a good night.
Yeah, it's good to be back home, huh?
Yeah, good to be back home.
Welcome back.
Yeah. It's been 6 weeks since I've seen you guys.
Oh.
So
is that all?
What happened? Yeah.
It was a long time on the road.
It was fun, but it's a long time. Yeah.
It's crazy being on tour that long, and just little things like not having a cooked meal that you've cooked.
Yeah,
right.
Just feels a bit weird.
I remember those.
Mind you, I haven't had one since I got home, but it's been Postmates.
No, but the cook. I cooked just an omelet for myself the other day, and it was good because when we did that first trip to Australia, and I've talked about this before, maybe we were in Townsville and we linked up with Charlie. It was.
Charlie Crossley.
Yeah, who we didn't know, but we're introduced to him through...
Well, I knew Charlie. You didn't know Charlie. Charlie was one of Russell Crowe's schoolmates.
I thought that was the first time you met him, the first time.
No. I met Charlie. I've met Charlie on Russell's farm before.
Oh, on his farm. But I hadn't met him, but he invited us to his house, and it was him and his late wife and his family and stuff. They
put on a meal for us,
cooked us all these meats, and then it was just us sitting there and eating. I was like, this is nice. Like, I felt like really nice on the road to have just sit down and in someone's patio and eat stuff.
They're lovely people across.
So I literally just cooked myself an omelet the other day because I was like, I'm gonna cook some food.
I actually reached out to Russ the other day because he's on the road doing his indoor garden party all around Australia, and I think he ends in Portugal.
It's an indoor garden party.
Yeah, he's Russell singing some songs and stuff, man. But he's at I think you want to go because there's guest stars that just rock up and sing with him.
So he's doing like a cabaret.
It's like intimate, I'm sure.
Like RZA just got up and sang with him.
Wow,
cool.
Like rapped, probably.
I don't know. Yeah. I've only seen the photo. But I don't know.
It's one of the weirdest relationships. I know that it's because of a movie.
They're best mates.
I know.
Yeah, RZA and Russell. Yeah, they're best mates.
RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan and Russell are best friends.
Yeah, they're both good lads.
Big fans, both. So,
Let's meet our guest.
All right, please welcome our guest today, Emmy Carvalho.
G'day, Emmy. Thanks for being on the show. Now it's time to play.
Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Judging a book by its cover.
Bang. That's very exciting. Emmy, I look, from the accent and the name, and please don't think that I'm profiling, but I am. Are we talking about the war in Ukraine?
No, actually, so my name is Emiliano. I say Emmy to be easier.
Are you Italian?
Close enough.
Okay, close enough.
You can tell them where you're from.
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Portugal.
From where?
Portugal.
Portugal. I was just in Portugal. I just performed for the lovely people of Lisbon. I was there in a bullfighting arena. Fantastic place, Portugal. The food was outstanding. I can't speak highly enough. I can't speak highly enough of Lisbon. What a cracking place Lisbon is. Are we talking about Lisbon?
Well, we are talking about something that I learned while I was living in Lisbon.
Is it male prostitution?
Well, I must say that I was once interjected by someone, but no, it's not male prostitution.
You have never done this, Jim, and I don't think you ever will.
Is it male prostitution?
And I said, and the second part was, and I think you never will. So.
Oh, yeah, so it's not male prostitution. When me money runs out, and that's all I can afford.
Here's a hint. Now, Emmy, you live in Switzerland now, correct?
Yes.
And
is it the manufacturing of watches?
Well, no.
Bank account.
Swiss Alps is...
It's an activity.
Yeah.
Skiing.
No, but...
Luge.
I was going to give you a better hint.
Toboggan.
What's toboggan?
Toboggan.
Oh, I thought you said suboggan. I thought that was like a really bad pizza chain.
Like a toboggan and a
combined with...
sub sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it with skis.
Oh, you can?
Oh, is it anal exams?
No. Okay, so I didn't know you could do it with skis.
Okay.
Put it that way.
So is it downhill ski?
Skis wouldn't even cross my mind in this. Here, I give you a hint. Okay. I think it was Evander Holyfield.
Oh, where's this going?
I believe something happened in one of his boxing matches that was crazy.
You got an ear bitten off?
No, but wasn't there another one? Besides the ear biting off, wasn't there a guy that landed in the ring?
Oh, a guy who parasailed into the ring, yeah.
Paragliding, that's what we're talking about.
Why would I never do that?
I don't, doesn't seem like it's in your...
I've parachuted, I've jumped out of planes.
Maybe you will do it then.
I'm an action guy.
Okay.
I'll never...
When you go to Switzerland,
I'll never
you.
bungee jump. I'm not going to bungee jump. Bungee jump's not in me because I have bad ankles as it is, and I feel like it'll hurt me. Not out of fear, I just feel like it'll hurt.
No, that's exactly how I feel. I've jumped out of a plane, but I would never bungee jump because it just feels like my body would snap in half.
Yeah, the whipping of it and all that type of stuff. And also, it was invented by New Zealanders. It can't be. Be safe.
Well, let me introduce Emmy. Emmy Carvalho.
And I'd lie about me weight. I'd say I was under, and then my head would hit the bottom. Bang.
Are you sure you're under 200 pounds?
Yeah.
Emmy Carvalho is a paragliding instructor, a tandem pilot, and a paragliding explorer. He started flying 9 years ago in his home country of Portugal, and 2 years later moved to one of the best places to fly in the world, his opinion, the Swiss Alps. Emmy has flown in 18 countries across 4 continents, made more than 2,000 solo and 3,000 tandem flights, has taught over 1,200 students how to fly, and his longest paragliding flight was over 9 hours, traveling 243 kilometers. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook at Altitude Trips, and his website is altitudetrips.com.
I've done with the Boy Scouts, with the Cubs, I think I did paragliding where you did a tandem one where you were in with a glider with someone, so I have done it.
Jim was just
I can't really remember.
Well, Australia is one of the best places to do it.
Yeah, very good Australia. Very good like that.
Jim was just in Switzerland as well. I was there with him in Zurich.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where you're near, but...
Close enough. I'm 50 minutes away. I actually, unfortunately, just learned about your tour too late. So there were no tickets anymore. I saw that you went to the chocolate factory though.
We went to the Lindt chocolate factory. That place. There's no regulations. It's fucking,
I saw you guys filling spoonfuls.
They could never have it in America.
Jim goes like this. First of all, it's on the it's outside.
It's like €15 and it's all you can eat chocolate. Like, get the fuck out.
He goes, if you were homeless, you would just come here every day.
Well, no, once a week you'd save up your €15 from begging. You'd beg out the front of the chocolate place, and then you'd come in and go, I got me €15, and they couldn't turn you down. There'd be a limit on the amount of time you're in there. So there's one bit that's just melted chocolate where they just give you a spoon. And then you pump it onto the spoon and eat it, and there's dark milk, white, right? And then there's another bit where it's just the bars of chocolate, and you just crack it, just as much chocolate as you can. Just stand
It's a machine that recognizes your hand with a light sensor.
Yeah, you put your hand in it,
chocolate
and then
out
it cracks a bit of chocolate into your hand. And then at the end, just... all the Lindor balls you can eat.
You have to do them one at a time because Slav was taking them and hoarding them, and the woman started yelling at him. Not yelling, but like, you can only one at a time. He's like, I don't speak English. And then he was like taking all the chocolate. And then there's another thing at the end with a ball on a railing that goes down and it shoots.
You get a ball that goes through.
There is a lot of educational parts too. You're supposed to learn about that.
You're meant to learn where the cocoa was purchased, how they do it, how they refine it, how they add the milk.
Well, hopefully you learned some stuff because I am planning on getting a chocolate expert.
No. I just ran from section to section eating the chocolate.
Learn nothing.
I walked past all the learning moments.
right, well, back to Emmy and paragliding.
Bloody wonderful place. We also went to a very fancy restaurant there. I like Switzerland. It's all right.
I liked it too. I had a good time in Zurich.
Yeah, it's all right.
Emmy,
good chocolate.
So you live in Switzerland now, and I was going to ask you, just tell us a little bit more about paragliding, like how you got into paragliding, what happened there, and how you started and all that.
So I started flying in Portugal. The typical flights in Portugal are quite different from flying in Switzerland. We usually fly close to the beach. And we have quite small hills, but we have strong sea breezes. And when the air is going over the ridges, it's a beautiful place to fly for a very long time. Although we are always relatively low, always 100 meters above the ground, not much more. So I moved to Switzerland because here is a bit the other extreme. We have gigantic mountains. It's not the Himalayas, but it's let's say better logistics to get to the top of the mountains, and we can fly in a lot of different places around. Everyone with quite a different view. You can fly over lakes, you can fly over glaciers, you can fly in summer and in winter. It's a very different experience. So that's what brought me here.
Oh.
All right, great. Well, I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about paragliding, and then when he's done answering them, you're going to grade him on his accuracy, 0 through 10. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him on et cetera. And we're going to add them all together. And, we share these documents with our guests, and Emmy wrote in the categories. Usually I write some really crazy shit in here. He wrote XC Master, that's 21 through 30. That's a pilot who flies for many hours. Mm-hmm. Acro God, pilot who does great acrobatic tricks, longer flights. That's 11 through 20. 0 through 10, Speed Flyer. Yeah. Pilot who fly. Usually 0 through 10 is a disaster. I would have been like 0 to 10, you crash into a mountain, you die or something. But he's still giving you, even if 0 through 10, you can't lose in this one.
All right, I'm in.
Okay. How does a paraglider fly?
Well, it's got wings, man. It's like.
Do you know what it looks like?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, describe that.
We're talking about the same thing with the triangle underneath, and they dangle you underneath the. We're not talking
paraglider.
Is this the one that hangs on the back of a boat where you're in like a parachute?
No, that's
parasailing.
Parasailing, but para is the key word.
The glider with the wing, and you hang underneath it, and you fly.
Okay, all right.
It's glider. That's what I thought we're talking about.
All right.
Is that a hang glider?
Hang glider.
That's a hang glider.
So what's a
I don't know what a paraglider is. Geez, we're running out of topics. You've got to get hang gliding in.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what is the primary piece of equipment? Let's skip through that.
The glider.
What is the purpose of a paraglider's harness?
Keep them in the fucking sail, man.
Okay. What is the best time of year and day to fly a paraglider?
You don't want to do it in the dark because you don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Sunset's nice view. Yeah. Plus the winds are dying down. You want a windy part of the day, but you don't want to be too hot either.
So time of the year, more windy is when the time of the year.
Yeah, I'll tell you, best time to do it, a Tuesday in spring at about 5 p.m. Because people be at work. Oh, no, about 4 p.m. Traffic's good getting out there, isn't it? No problem getting out there. By the time you finish hang gliding, going to be about 7. All the peak hours.
It's paragliding.
Yeah, all the peak hours over.
Yeah.
You get to drive home with no traffic.
Smart.
So I'm going to say 4 p.m. on a Tuesday in spring.
Okay. Who can fly a paraglider?
Only paraplegics. What we know about him is we haven't seen his legs. That's why it's called paragliding. The other people are just gliders.
You nailed it there. That's why I kept saying para.
Some of them are just a head and a body with no limbs at all, and they steer with their tongue.
What is the term for the act of launching a paraglider from the ground?
And if you've got no limbs and you're very angry about that joke, come and get me.
What is the term for the act of launching a paraglider from the ground?
What's the act of launching a paraglider from the ground?
You're on the ground.
Yeah.
You're going to launch. What's that called?
That would be launching.
It's a good guess.
Yeah.
If they call it anything else, they're out of their fucking mind.
Okay.
We call plane launching a plane, launching a fucking spaceship, and you need a special term?
Okay, other than the ground.
Should be called launching.
Other than the ground, how else can you launch a paraglider?
Jump off a cliff.
Okay. If you're flying a paraglider and you see a hot air balloon in front of you, what should you do?
Do that motion. And then honk their horn.
Yeah. Same thing with an airplane.
I would avoid it. Don't go towards it. Would be one of the big steps.
Yeah.
Maybe go.
Well, like in a boat, I know this. I don't know.
Yell out 4.
I don't know about this for paragliding, but in a boat there are like rules of the road. So there's certain boats that give
so if you're in
ones.
Britain, go left of the hot air balloon. Yeah, his vocal box because he's got other disabilities. and then if you're in the other countries that aren't on the left, Australia, you go left, and then on the other countries you go right. It's whatever the side of the road.
How many people can fly in a paraglider?
You could get a bloke with no arms, no legs, and a head, and then another bag of heads.
A bag of heads?
Bag of heads.
Why would you bring the bag of heads?
Because they need enjoyment as well. They're just heads, mate.
Oh, they're alive?
Yeah, they're still alive.
He just tosses these live heads in a bag.
Yeah. You ever heard that joke about the head? And then he goes to the body shop and he buys himself a body, and then he walks out of the body shop and he gets run over. What's the moral to the story? You should quit while you're ahead.
Yep. Okay, here's some terms, but I don't think you're going to know any of these, maybe.
You build the joke out. You start with him rolling across the road, and then he gets that money in his teeth.
It's
and
a journey of a joke.
Yeah. You got to get there, but I'm not going to waste all the listeners' time.
Since you still think this is a hang glider, I don't know why I'm asking any of these questions, but okay, here's some different maneuvers, I think. What is the term for a maneuver of turning a paraglider very fast in small circles?
That's air donut.
Air donut?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is this?
Not bad. You tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's pretty good. An air
donut, which was the lesser known Nike product. They never made a movie about that one.
No.
It sounds like a really healthy donut.
It was for people with hemorrhoids.
Oh.
Yeah, I think those are called air donuts.
Yeah, Nike Air Donuts.
What is a sat? This is a maneuver, I guess. Yeah.
Or a sat is where you land.
A spiral.
Spiral is where you spiral downwards.
Isn't that the air donut?
No. You don't go downwards. No. You stay at the same level.
Okay.
Yeah, donut.
What is the name for the technique used by paragliders to lose altitude quickly? I guess they do it on purpose.
Yeah, I would say pointing down or burping a la Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory the other day.
Which one?
The original. Wow. Willy Wonka can proper get fucked, eh? Because I went to the Lindor Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
They're giving you bloody chocolate left, right, and centre, and he's like this. I've invented this gum that's like a whole meal in your mouth. Oh, can we have some? Nah, you'll turn into a blueberry if you try it. Go on. Nah, you can't have it. Next thing.
It did feel like that at Lindor, that we were at a really nice Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
It was better than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Lindor. Next thing,
you can see it all being made. And
this is an everlasting gobstopper. Can we have one? As long as you don't tell anyone. All right.
What is the
Here's a golden goose. If you take one of those eggs, we'll throw you in a truck in a fucking in the dumpster, and you might get lit on fire.
How about these orange guys with green hair?
Yeah, what a miserable cunt Willy Wonka was.
What is the altitude record for the highest paragliding flight ever recorded?
10,000 feet.
10,000. Okay. Do you know what glide ratio is?
Yeah, it's the wingspan to the size of the amputee.
I got more questions, but I don't know.
I think he's nailing it.
Yeah.
We're going to get a lot of comments from the amputee community.
Some of them can't type, don't worry about it.
With their eyes, again. What is the term for the practice of flying a paraglider in a rising column of air?
I've done that on a video game.
What game?
There's a video game where you fly through the hoops and then you go...
Oh, yeah, with the wings. The guy that had the wings? I used to love that game. On their phone, right?
Yeah. Oh, no,
it's a rising column of air. What's that?
They've done hot air rises.
And how long can a paraglider stay aloft? I mean,
it depends on how big the mountain is and how many hot springs
Maybe like what's the longest, I guess, maybe.
Longest? An hour.
I told you he was at 9 hours one time.
But he bloody takes breaks, doesn't he?
Nah, okay.
Notoriously easy to take breaks in this guy.
Right, so if he's done 9 hours, I'm going to say 20 hours. There's some cunt who did 20 hours.
Okay, here's a couple more questions.
And why would you do that? You get bored. Like, you just piss from the hang glider at that stage.
Yeah, we're going to ask Emmy about that.
Yeah, where do you
Emmy, what do you do when you're up in the paraglider that long? Where do you pee or poop?
Well, you tried to poop before. That's quite important.
So it's like
you try to, but you don't always succeed.
It's like when porn stars do anal scenes.
I guess we don't need to go through the same treatment of bleaching, but other than that, we need to make sure that we don't carry anything with us. Concerning peeing, I mean, there's different variations. Female pilots very often use napkins, and male pilots might either use a bottle or just do it in the air like the birds do.
Right, so you could get me too'd all day. If you just whip your dick out, even if you're 1,000 feet above me, I'll wait till that cunt lands. He's
it's a
in
bird,
trouble.
it's a plane, it's Jim
Cancelled.
Jefferies' dick.
Well, I think if you piss from high enough, it'll dissipate before it got down there. But have you ever been walking along and just had a couple of drips on you and not really realised?
Yeah.
Everyone's had that. There's bloody hang glider pissing on you.
Damn. Do it.
All right, just let's skip ahead. A couple more questions there.
Is that a real watch?
Yeah.
What is the term for the practice of flying a paraglider close to the terrain and often close to the ground? Like a little...
All right, that's slipstreaming.
Slipstreaming, yep. And who is the best paragliding pilot in the world?
Michael Jordan's brother, Frank Jordan.
Yeah.
Frank Air Jordan.
He's the best.
There's no reason he can't be. His brother was very skillful at things. Why wouldn't he have a little bit of talent? Don't be shitting on Frank.
Emmy.
There's a T-shirt idea right there.
He'll be shitting on you.
Don't be shitting on Frank.
Yeah, because on the paragliding, he'd shit on,
No, the best hang glider ever would be called Hans Schwackendorf.
Mm-hmm.
Hans Schwackendorf,
Hans
he's very
Schwackendorf.
famous.
Yeah, Hans Schwackendorf from the Schwackendorf dynasty.
Of course.
The importers, exporters.
Oh, yeah.
And he glided for over 20 hours, and he slipstreamed along the ground for the last 8 hours, just a metre above the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Then he hit a hot spring, up he went again.
hot spring.
Pulled his dick out, had a piss, and landed.
Absolute legend.
All without arms.
Emmy, how you doing? So how did Jim do on his knowledge of paragliding, not hang gliding, paragliding? 0 through 10, 10's the best. How do you do?
Well, I have to say less than hang gliding. He does know quite a lot of hang gliding. Paragliding,
I've done hang
have
gliding.
to give him 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, no worries.
Wow, that's way higher than
Can someone get me a photo of paragliding so I know what we're talking about?
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, Jack will show you. I have one, but he can angle it better. How do you do on confidence, Kelly?
Like a big parachute.
I was going to give him a 7, but I'm going to remove 4 points. 4 points, like he removed the limbs of all the paragliders.
Is this just going on a parachute and having a go?
It's flying with
we'll
parachute.
talk to him about it. He's up there 9 hours. You know, the Emmy's done it 9 hours.
Does he have? I remember some people sometimes have a propeller behind them.
Because it's gliding, not parachuting. Shooting just goes down. Yeah. And et cetera, I'm going to give you -12. There's no.
You know what? The times I have parachuted, you get bad bruises on your inner thighs. Those straps going up. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
And like as soon as the parachute goes out, like you fall from the air. And you're plummeting like that. That's an amazing. Your brain clicks in within 2 seconds and goes, "We're okay," and you just love that free fall. Fantastic experience. And then the parachute comes out, and then you're relieved. The parachute came out, and then you know you're safe, and then you fucking parachute down for like fucking 8 minutes. and
it's really long.
I get bored quick. I'm like, let's get me back to the ground. I want to check my phone or
I didn't think about it, and I wore earrings when I skydived, and the wind flapping back and forth. I was just getting stabbed in the side of the neck by my earrings the whole time.
I was about 5 pounds overweight for the weight limit for what they had in Australia. So too fat to parachute is a really, you don't want to be turned away from anything for being too fat. But then there was like a Swedish guy. I'm so glad because there was another bloke there, and he was out at Uluru, right in the middle of Australia, by the big rock, right, really like nothing below us. It was quite so. Anyway, so there was an Australian bloke who was strapping, I think, some girl to his in front of him, and he's there doing the whole. He's there going, was that before he jumped? Oh, this is a bit loose. Every Australian's a shit stirrist like this. Oh, bloody hell. I don't know if we connected this right.
Yeah. That's when I went tandem jumping too. Same shit. They're like, oh, hey. They have like a cardboard thing with jokes and stuff.
Yeah, but I had a big Swedish man. The Swedish aren't known for joking around with things like that. You're going to be very safe. I've done thousands and thousands of jumps. This is just another day for me. You're a little bit heavy, but I know it won't make a problem. They're just too precautionary for this. Now, see, look, this is secure. This is secure. This is secure. And then at the end, I made a joke to him and I said, you know, the funny thing is, I always knew that I would die being strapped to a Swedish bloke. I just didn't know how. And he didn't laugh.
Emmy, so why don't you explain to us, and a lot of people are just listening to this, so if they don't know what paragliding is, what the equipment is, how does it fly, and how it's different than hang gliding.
So paragliding is, like Jim said, actually got one of the 2.5 points like that. Paragliding is a big parachute. It has optimized shape for flying, for gliding. So rather than just decrease your descent, it actually makes you move as far forward as possible. The principles of flight are similar to a hang gliding as well. Both of them are typically used without motors, although there are paragliders and hang gliders with motors. That I will classify that as a different sport. And the difference of the hang gliding, Jim knows it very well. It's the triangle where the bloke hangs on and is flying in a lay down position as Superman or a bird, while paragliding you fly sitting down, so you don't need to have legs, as Jim pointed out.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, more comfortable too. You don't have to plank. On the hang gliding, you have to plank
Super
the whole time. The other one, you just sit and be like fat. So the guy, do you know the thing I was talking about with Jim, where the guy crashed into the boxing ring on a paraglider? It's like,
yeah, there have been a few interesting cases recently.
Yeah.
There was also was it in the Olympics? I believe it was in the Olympics recently, that in the ceremony, or in the World Cup, either the Olympics or the soccer World Cup, there was a case of a paraglider with a motor playing around from Greenpeace and putting a few lives in danger.
So if you have the motor, it's not paragliding. That's something else?
We will call it paramotor then. So the biggest difference of having the motor is that you can just easily go up and down, while with the paraglider you are typically gliding unless you find a way to go up.
Yeah, you said you went up for 9 hours. How did you just stay up for 9 hours if you can't go up? You just keep...
You started at a very high spot.
It's one of the questions, right? It's the thermal. So when you find masses of hot air, imagine a hot air balloon. So you fill the hot air balloon with hot air, and that brings some upward force, and the air goes up. Take out the balloon and keep the hot air, and the same thing happens. Hot air goes up. And when we are flying, if we find areas where the air is going up, then we just try to stay around. So we are flying in circles just to enjoy the helicopter ride, the elevator ride to go up. When we get to the very top, we just fly as far away as we can until we get into the next one. And that's how you cover longer distances.
Could have you gone longer, but you just got bored?
Typically, well, there's a legal aspect to it, but also a physical reason. So these hot air can have different reasons, but mostly it's because of sunlight hitting the ground where it's darker versus areas that are more green or more clear. And so where it's darker, you start having darker ground, and therefore the air above it gets warmer, and it starts going up. So if you cut out the sun, then you cut out the thermals. So typically you start flying as early as the first thermals happen, and you eventually have to stop when the last thermals disappear. And there's a legal aspect to it as well, as I said, because in most countries it's illegal to paraglide at night.
Most countries. There's that one. And then how do you know if there's thermals or not? Do you look for birds or something, or you just feel it?
You can see it's warm.
No, but maybe I don't have a way.
You can see warm?
You can see wavy bits in the sky. Okay, you can see.
I don't know. I have no clue.
Often in the takeoff, you can... In the takeoff, so when you are ready to start, you are very close to the ground, and that's where you have the strongest heat transfer between the ground and the air. You do see, just like imagine driving on a very hot day on the road, you see the air doing this wavy motion. But when we are flying, if you are 3,000 meters above the ground, no, you cannot see it, but you can see elements being affected. Birds are definitely one. Every time that you see a bird flying without flapping its wings, it's using air that is rising. Might be thermals or might be some other phenomenon close to the beach, for example, like we do in Portugal, but it's definitely air rising. So we are always looking out for birds. It helps if we fly together, if we fly several paraglider pilots together, because if we go in slightly different directions and one of us starts going up, we know, oh, there's a thermal, and everyone follows.
But isn't there a chance that you can all bump into each other and tangle up?
Well, then the answer is yes, there is a chance, but we will only get into that situation if we are really bad pilots, because imagine driving in a place where you don't really have a road and you can just go anywhere. But now it's not even
so it would only
two-dimensional.
If you had bad pilots, that would happen, eh?
Yeah.
So there's no female paragliders.
Asshole.
Well, they are as well. And actually, the world record of the longest flight from a female paraglider pilot is more than twice what I did. So
is that because she was on her phone and not paying attention?
Nailed it.
I don't know.
Have you heard about this guy in Turkey that brought his couch and a TV up paragliding with him?
What?
Yeah, that's a very famous video. It's quite impressive to see. He also has an upgrade video after where he does the same but with his bed. And
he's got a lamp too.
You know those things that you put on your eyes
like
so
sleep
that
mask?
it all gets dark. He has a very nice video doing that.
Do you know that guy? Yes.
No, I know the place and I know the videos.
The wacky guy. What's the longest flight? You said the woman had done 18 hours. What's the longest one? That's one of the questions we asked. Or
I misspoke, sorry. Not 18 hours, but the distance. So we usually speak more about the distance. The furthest distance ever covered was in the US, actually, from a guy called Sebastian K. Routes, and he flew over 600 kilometers. So in miles, that will be 380 miles.
Right,
like
so
that.
that's basically, well, it's not San Francisco to LA, but it's not far off it.
It's not far. It's
close.
Farther than LA to Vegas.
San Francisco.
It's almost a San
LA
Francisco.
is like
He did it
400
across
miles.
It's almost San Francisco.
Oh, he did it in the United States, you're saying?
Exactly, and he started in one state, he flew through a different one, and he landed on the third one.
So where did he start and where did he end up?
I know that Utah was the one in the middle, if I'm not wrong, but I don't recall the start and end point.
Probably Colorado or something. Yeah,
They call
there's
flyover
mountains.
states for a reason.
Idaho. and then what's the highest you can go in a paraglider? Another question.
As high as the thermals go, typically, and that depends a lot on the weather, depends a lot on the day. So
where does oxygen cut out?
Doesn't
Doesn't oxygen cut out? Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. Yeah, world record.
Eventually that will be the case. The world record of highest controlled ascent is from a guy that took oxygen, although the oxygen mask apparently didn't work. So that's a French guy flying in Pakistan called Antoine Girard, and he got to over 8,000 meters.
Holy cow.
Now, it's discussable if this is the record of height, because there have been people flying from the top of Everest, but they didn't gain extra height, so they glided down. And this guy started at 4,000 meters, so he gained a lot of height.
Yeah, that's like 8,000 meters, you said? Sorry? 8,000?
Yeah, he started at 4,000 and he flew up until 8,000. But the world record, although that's out of control, is from a lady. And it was in Australia as well. So around 10 years back, there was an interesting scenario where during the Paragliding World Cup that was happening in Australia, there was a gigantic cloud forming. You know, those clouds that you start seeing that they look like skyscrapers getting bigger and bigger. And those clouds have very, very, very strong thermals underneath, taking all of that water vapor up. And so she got sucked in by the cloud. 3 people got sucked in by the cloud. Actually, one died, and she went close to 10,000 meters. But she lost consciousness. and eventually she came down. She regained consciousness before getting into the ground. It's in paragliding, it's often referred as a miracle, as the woman that should not have survived, because it was so impressive that happened.
Yeah, nice that she broke a record. Didn't know it. It's a wake up. You're a record breaker. Woo!
Yeah, in her sleep, she breaks records.
There's another person that actually broke your record. They died, but you lived. Yeah, that French guy must be pissed. He's like, well, I didn't even mean to do that.
I go up in the air. I was in Pakistan. I go flying. I go so high.
And who's considered? I know we're jumping around, but who is the best paragliding pilot in the world? Is it Michael Jordan's brother Frank Air Jordan, or Hans Schwackendorf?
Well, that Frank guy, I don't know. I haven't seen him fly, so I cannot comment.
Yeah, see?
But there's quite a few really, really great pilots. It's difficult to say what's the best paragliding pilot in the world, because there's different types of paragliding. That's a little bit like saying, who is the best runner in the world? Who do you put there? Do you put the guy that is winning the marathon, or do you put Usain Bolt? So there's a bit of a discussion.
You put Usain Bolt, and then next you put the Kenyan bloke, whoever he may be.
Fast guy first.
I found out why Kenya, they're so good at running. They all run to school and that sort of stuff, but it's very high altitude, so when they come down, their lungs are all good for it. Yeah. That's why Kenya beats the other countries. Kenya. There you go.
Well, here there's a location aspect to it as well, because if you live in a country with lots of mountains, you have a natural advantage of being in the right place. It's just like great surfers come from places where there are great waves. Great paraglider pilots come from places where there are great mountains.
However, I will tell you, Kelly Slater, who supposedly they say is the best surfer or what, I don't, from Florida, where we have shit waves. He was from Cocoa Beach, where it's probably the best waves in Florida. I don't know much about surfing, but I took pictures of my friend surfing. That's where he's from. Fun fact. All right.
The surfers, I was finding out, they're like environmental nightmares, surfers. Those boards they're covered in chemicals. They never go away. The wetsuit material never biodegrades. It's like they're a fucking menace, the surfers.
Who was telling you their environmental name? I mean,
I was watching a documentary on it.
Oh, really? Well, they don't go through that stuff that often.
You're tossing the boards in the wetsuits.
No. Just surfing in general. So most bodyboards and stuff like that are bought for summer vacations, and then just dumped afterwards, and that's a bit of landfill.
Oh, bodyboards, yeah.
And then surfboards. Most surfboarders like buy 6 or 7. They keep upgrading them all the time.
Yeah,
that's a thing with surfing. I got to get another board. They upgrade them all the time, and that's fucking landfill. The wetsuits. They're trying to now find a way to make the wetsuit material become recyclable.
Yeah.
They're no good. They're no good, the surfers.
Well, we used wetsuits to do environmental work.
Yeah, no. You give with one hand, take with the other. You're like Al Gore. I was at a big house, but he tells us all the good stuff.
I think the main thing is humans are environmental nightmares.
Yeah.
I blame surfers.
Yeah, I think you're right. So these different terms for is an air donut. Where was that one? Term for maneuvering a paraglider very fast in small circles. Is it an air donut? And if it's not, I think probably should be.
Air donut.
I might start using that term. I liked it. I liked it enough. Although usually we call it something different.
What do you?
So a fast turn, we call it a spiral. I can show it up. I brought a little prop.
Oh. All right. Hey.
Jim, this is a paraglider. As you see, no triangles here.
Wait a second. They have all their arms and legs.
No, but he can't
That's not a paraglider.
As well, exactly. Yeah. That's really good.
The other cross.
So when you do a fast circle turning around, you really have a very big bank angle. And as you are turning around, you are spiraling down. As you come down, you gain a lot of speed going down. So that's a spiral.
Okay.
Do you ever have races? Is there ever like competitive paragliding?
There is, and there's different types of races. So there's some people that actually don't compete with time, but compete in similar to gymnastics accounting.
You have a ribbon on a stick.
Whoever plays around better with the wing and does the craziest tricks wins. So they get points, and then whoever gets most points win. But usually when we are talking about the world champion, for example, we are speaking about the people that did the longest flights. And that's similar, I would say, with cycling. So you have a starting point. The difference is you don't have a unique route that you can follow, and you just have the starting point and a turn point, but you can go there whichever way you want. You can go in a straight line, but sometimes it's better to follow a specific terrain. And whoever gets there faster wins. So you have those races. And then you also have a very special race that is called the X-Alps. You can only hike and fly. So you start in the east side of the Alps in Austria, and you can only hike during the day and then fly as well. At night you have to stop, and you have roughly 2 weeks to go from there to France and back.
What were you going to ask him?
I was going to ask whether they were tracks or anything like that, but I'll ask a different question. Who's the biggest cocksucker in the paragliding community?
Well, you asked before who is the biggest pilot, right? So maybe I can answer that one.
Yeah. Who's the most famous one?
So probably the most famous is a guy that makes some really, really cool YouTube videos. It's incredible the things that he does. His name is Jean-Baptiste Chandelier, or Chandelier. You can find him easily by the video. If you look for weightless paragliding, his video has, 15 million views, 10 million views, something like that. And he really shows how fun paragliding can be.
Weightless.
And then you have the guy that wins the X-Alps every time. That's Kriegel Maurer. He's a Swiss guy, and he has won it 6 or 7 times now. So it's almost his competition.
Can you show us a couple other things with your little paraglider there, just the maneuvers and stuff that I had talked about or asked Jim about?
Have you got a Barbie doll? Can you make him fuck Barbie?
Stall, like a stall, whatever a sat is, all that stuff. Yeah. And you describe it.
It's actually a male pilot and a female passenger.
Oh, wait, there's two of them
say
on there.
what they are doing.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them on there.
That's air bumming.
So what were the maneuvers again? So one was spiral.
Sat,
we spoke
a
about
stall,
that one already.
and then lose altitude quickly. Yeah, those.
Perfect. So the spiral is the one where you are doing this type of movement. So doing a very fast turn. The sat is somewhat similar. It's very often called the stupid aeronautical maneuver or stupid aeronautical technique. What the sat does is similar to a spiral, but while the wing is going forward, the pilot is coming back. So they are turning around like this with the axis between them. So the wing is going forward, but the pilot is going back.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting. It's one of the easier acrobatic maneuvers that you can do.
I was going to say it too.
How safe is this? All of this? Do you have a lot of deaths each year, or is it pretty safe?
You have a few. So the problem, it's it's a little bit opposing views in a way, but paragliding, it's the safest form of aviation, and because of that, is the one that has more accidents. So I need to explain this. I know it's a bit weird. So if you don't do anything with a paraglider, you just fly straight and slowly. So it's quite steady. You go against anything, and that's okay. The hang glider, if you don't do anything, it's gonna bank, and probably it's gonna make you turn and turn and turn and start spiraling and go down. The glider, you cannot just leave it flying because you need a big space to land. So a glider is a sailplane, almost an airplane without motors. Airplanes, helicopters, all of those, they need to be controlled. So you cannot just let them go. Now, what's the problem with the paraglider? Since you can land pretty much everywhere because it's slow, then you can come up with the craziest, stupid things to do. And that's when people get injured and they can die. So in Switzerland, in the last 20 years, every year we have around 2 deaths paragliding. Just by comparison, you have around 20 deaths doing skiing in Switzerland as well. If you are doing a tandem, that's quite safe. There's maybe 2 countries that I will avoid because they have more accidents. But most countries, they are quite safe for you to do a tandem. If you are doing a solo flight, it really depends on your approach to the sport. If you approach it with safety rather than going to the limit with that approach, then it's quite safe. If you approach it in direction of let's do some proximity flying, let's do all the tricks that I can very, very, very low, then you will eventually find the limit.
You ever get a bird to the face?
Well, no, but there's a guy in Spain and there's another guy, I think it's in Nepal, that have a pet falcon that flies with them. And so when you go on a flight with them on a tandem, you actually get, those falcon gloves and you go fly and then the falcon comes and lands there. So that's quite special.
Yeah, they charge a lot of money for that, I bet. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I had just opened an article before you said that. It was called Parahawking, and these people were flying with a hawk or...
They go get you some food and they bring it back. Like I want a Philly cheesesteak.
And I've also seen a video of a guy paragliding with his dog.
Yeah, that's not fun for the dog.
Yeah, I just feel the dog really enjoys it.
Dogs love...
I have to counter here.
They love parachuting. Dogs,
certain breeds.
It's like having
Arnie would hate it.
It's like having their head out the car window.
Yeah.
So I know this from talking to Rob O'Neill, our friend,
I think it's the Malinese though.
Who was a Navy SEAL. Well, they're like German Shepherds.
Malinois, Belgian, Malinois. Yeah, they're like that. Yeah.
But the dogs, and I know another person as well, that when they jump out of the plane, they have the dog strapped to their chest. The dogs, the free fall, they fucking love it.
No.
Yeah,
and then they have the dogs a handle on the back of them, so when they land they can Velcro or rip off or unclip the dog, and then they see there's someone up on a balcony, they just throw the dog up and and the dog comes back to them. Fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be a fun dog.
I have to say that if I can change Jim's classification, I will bring it up for a 5 now.
All right.
Dogs do love flying, and that's really cool. I fly with my dog. And she's a German Shepherd, and she loves it. She's always with the thing out, with the tail playing around.
My wife couldn't get over that in Australia. We just have dogs in the back of our pickup trucks, just hanging out unleashed.
That in Florida too, yeah.
Yeah. And my wife, there was one that was where the dog was just there, and it was like a flat back. It didn't even have walls on the side. Like if you took a corner too much, it was sliding off.
Oh, there's still walls. Oh my god!
And so my wife, we were driving behind this dog in Australia, and it was on the back of the truck, and she was like, "Get the license plate, ring your brother," because my brother's a cop, right? And I'm like, I don't think we have to get this person. And then, a few days later, she talked to my brother, and he's like, the dogs love it. Bloody out in the thing. It's wonderful for him.
Yeah. My dog is a little dog. He hangs his head out the window at any chance he gets.
Mind you, my dad had a dog growing up that if you mention this dog's name, and I won't mention the name, but if you my dad still he tears up if he thinks about it.
I think I've heard this story.
Yeah, but he had one time it was standing on the top of the car, or the ute, the pickup was standing
on top of the roof, right?
Top of the roof.
Yeah, it's not good.
And they broke, and the dog went forward, and then they ran over it.
The dog didn't like that one.
To this day, your dad can't even probably.
He can't talk about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to.
He can't talk about it. He tears up about this dog, mate.
Wait, do you have a harness for your dog? I'm sorry.
That wouldn't happen with a paraglide.
Yeah. So with your dog has a harness that attaches to you, or something like that, or?
Yeah, exactly. He has a special harness for dogs made for its measurements, and it starts running
and then when
launch like a pilot.
And then you take your dog to a dog park, and he probably is like, "Yeah, no big deal. I was just flying.
It's boring.
What have you guys been doing?" Anyways, yeah, it's fun.
That's how he finds his bitches.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Yep.
I love that female dogs are called bitches. It's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of fun. And the word bastard is actually, because I never married Kate, but Kate's mother once said about my son that out of all of my grandchildren, he's the only bastard. I tell Hank that occasionally.
And how does he respond?
You bastard.
That's what he says?
No. I don't tell him he's a bastard.
Yeah.
I don't think that word applies anymore. I don't think anyone gives a fuck.
Yeah, well, that just means that you're not married ever, right?
You were born out of wedlock.
Yeah. Because my parents were married when my mom was pregnant.
Yeah, you're not a bastard.
No, but that was a mistake.
Oh yeah, everyone's
that
a
was
mistake. Clear. My parents were told they would never have a child again. They said they went to get my mother. You've seen me do a routine about this, but they went to tie her tubes, and they were just like, "Don't worry about it. This is a fucking car accident."
So you were a miracle mistake. You were just a regular mistake.
I came along 6 years later or something, but there was no way they should have had a child. My mother had corrective surgery to get pregnant the first time. And then she had the other baby right away. And then they went to tie tubes, and the doctors were like, don't worry about it. This is a fucking mess. They were like, it doesn't even resemble a womb. You'll be fine.
And you turned out great.
Oh, I grew up in the equivalent of a cardboard box I was born into.
The womb, you mean?
Yeah, there's other people who grew up in wombs that are like mansions in Beverly Hills. I grew up in just a shanty fucking...
Your arm just jammed into one side. Yeah. They're like, he's not growing up on a ball. He's not in the fetal position at all.
I was like a shanty town in Cape Town. I was just corrugated iron shed.
That's a couple of questions that I need to ask you. Glide ratio. What is that? And then also I'll do that one first. And then also, what happens if you see a hot air balloon or a plane? I would assume you avoid them, but those are in there. Yeah.
Or is that a joke?
Well, some points on the hot air balloon for sure. Indeed, you do this because you have your controls in your hand and you have to turn. And the way you turn is by pulling one of the controls down. Yeah. So if you do this, you are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I would assume you just avoid them, right? Because you said a hot air balloon and a plane, but it would feel like you have the right of way over a plane, right? A plane has to avoid you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the right of way in the air, it's always for the aircraft with less maneuverability. So the hot air balloon can only go up and down. Therefore, it always has priority. And so we have just to avoid it. And if we are flying and there's an airplane, he has to avoid us. And the way to avoid, if we are going one against each other, should be each of us should turn right. Independently on the country. That's for all countries.
Got it. All right. And then the glide ratio.
What was the other question?
Glide ratio.
Yeah. So the paraglider
just so you know what Jim's answer was. What is the glide ratio? He said it's the wingspan to the size of the amputee. That's incorrect. We're going with that, right?
We're a bag of heads.
Almost. The wingspan does have an impact, but that's not exactly what it is. So the glide ratio that depends on the geometry of the wing. That's why the wing. The wingspan has an impact. The bigger the wingspan, typically the better the glide ratio. And what the glide ratio is a paraglider is called a glider because it glides. So you have a certain height, and instead of losing height vertically, it loses height while it moves forward. And as it's moving forward, if it has a good glide ratio, it will get further away. So if you have a glide ratio of 10, what that means is that if you take off 1 kilometer high, and you just fly straight, you get 10 kilometers ahead by the time you get to zero. So the typical glide ratios on normal paragliders are between 6 and 10. Competition paragliders get to 15, let's say. Just as a reference, a normal airplane has around 10 to 15. And the sailplanes, those have a gigantic wingspan. So they have really, really, really good glide ratios. I think close to 40 and 50.
Damn.
So if you have 1 kilometer high, you can go from south of Spain to north of Morocco, north of Africa.
Yeah. All right, and then this is the last question we didn't answer yet was, what is the term for the practice of flying a paraglider close to the terrain, often close to the ground? I like this. I like these videos. I've seen this. Jim said slipstreaming. Yeah. Sounds good.
Well, you should definitely look up that video that I mentioned, the weightless paragliding, because you'll see that pilots do that a lot. So that's called proximity flying. It's really, really fun. It's one of the most fun things to do in paragliding, I would say, particularly in winter, where you can just drag your feet in the snow. It's really, really nice.
Yeah. But that's dangerous, right?
Yeah, it looks scary.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I know that I mentioned that you can have the approach of being safe or have the approach of trying to find the limit, right? So certainly the accidents happen when you are close to the ground and when you have speed. And what this is doing is combining those things.
Is it in the Olympics?
It was discussed to be in the Olympics in 2000, but it was not selected.
Not even the Paralympics?
Jesus Christ.
Well, maybe in the Paralympics it could be accepted because I would say there's quite a big community of people on wheelchairs paragliding.
Jim, did you ask that question, the first one, just to get to the Paralympics?
Everything I do is to get to it.
Okay. But I
was hoping he'd just go no, and then I could go not even the Paralympics.
Yeah.
But he went, maybe in 2000 though, and I was like, fuck, that doesn't suit me. I got to get in quick with this answer.
But I would think, to your point though, that if
the Special Olympics,
if you were
course.
paraplegic, I would think this would be an activity that would be fun because
can't land.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
You land on a wheelchair, so
you
have a special trike with 3 wheels, and you take off like that. You need some assistance.
You're being serious?
You land like that alone.
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of the wheelchair? You have to be up there with the bloody wheelchair as well.
It's light. It's like a modified.
It's a flying wheelchair.
I don't want any flying wheelchair. Just let me get me stumps on the ground. When I land, I'll get me 2 stumps like this. And I'll go wiggle, 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 wiggle.
You can't move them.
How would you launch? Just have somebody throw you off a cliff?
No, you've got your hands. You drag up to the end of the cliff.
I thought they didn't have arms either.
Someone could hold you. No, they got. These are people with arms. I was being silly before, Kelly.
Okay,
No,
that's my
no,
fault
he's
for
serious.
misunderstanding.
So now I'm just
Maybe
talking
you
a
could
person
do like
without
the
legs.
stories guy.
Like the who?
I tell you what, I've got this game.
Stories,
I got Oscar Pistorius. Yeah, I do fun jokes about him. I'll tell you what I think about Oscar Pistorius. There's no way that he hasn't seen me do that routine. That routine.
He's in prison.
Yeah, I was telling it before.
You think he's getting DVDs of Jim Jefferies in prison?
I was doing that routine before he went to prison.
Yeah, that's true.
It was still the court case. Now, also the and someone would afford it to him. You know, they've got to pay YouTube.
Yeah. But you killing a woman.
Yeah, but it's the only routine I can think of where someone's getting raped. I did the scene where he's getting raped in prison because it's Oscar Pistorius, and everyone in the audience cheers. Very hard to walk that line. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of that routine. You got to pick someone who's a real piece of shit to really get away with it. I tell you what, though, with the game show in Australia, I haven't been reading the reviews, and I read a couple of them the other day, just on comments on the ratings thing. Turns out everyone hates me, but the ratings are going through the roof. They're going really good. Turns out everyone online thinks I'm a piece of shit. But the fucking people are watching the show, so I don't care. But there's every episode. It's very clear there's a lot of people watching this show who's never seen my stand-up because people are asking me to apologise for jokes that are so fucking weak.
Yeah, you're like, I can't say shit on a game show.
They're like this, you made a joke about apartheid in South Africa, and I'm like, really? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one you want. And then another one's like, you made a joke about epilepsy. I have had an epileptic fit. You apologise right now. Do you know what it's like to have an epileptic? And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? That's the joke I'm going down for, the bloke who wants the epileptic joke. But anyway, so to all the paraplegic people who are listening, sorry.
Oh, all right.
That's the point I'm trying to get to.
I would think if you're paraplegic and you're not paragliding, you should be, because the movement would be...
You can't say something's para this and then expect me not to do that joke, right? That was going to happen from word dot when the activity's para.
What about parallelogram?
I would make jokes about that. It's not a full line. It's missing the bits off the side. A parallelogram is a peace sign that just has a line through the middle without those 2 bits. Like, no.
All right, Emmy.
There you go. I did it.
Here's the part where the show we're at. We're at Dinner Party Facts. We're going to ask our expert to give us a fact, something about...
Got something about slavery for us?
Something about paragliding that is interesting or obscure that our audience can use to impress people if this comes up.
Well, you can speak about one of the interesting adventures that guy that I mentioned before that went to the 8,000 meters controlling, Antoine Girard. So he does all of these crazy adventures around the world. He goes fly places where people have never flown before. And that has bitten me in the ass as well. So in one of his trips, he went to Ethiopia, and every time that he was landing, the police will come and take him to prison. By the 4th day, he gave up. He said, okay, maybe better go and find a different place to fly.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Well, he's...
Antoine Girard.
He's dead now.
Another French pilot.
He picked up something in an African prison.
Yeah, why would he keep doing it? Why do they keep arresting him? They just didn't like the flying?
Well, I think that they had the war recently or something like that, and
I think with
a very advanced historical knowledge.
An impoverished country where everyone's starving and you're flying around and great big things.
Stop being an asshole.
A bit audacious, isn't it?
For awareness.
Yeah. Bring awareness to paraplegics.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see, if you want to learn more about paragliding or check out Emmy's Instagram and Facebook at Altitude Trips, or his website, altitudetrips.com. If you're in Switzerland, give him a ring. Go fly with him. And yeah, thanks for being here, Emmy.
Thanks, Emmy. Appreciate it, mate. If you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and goes, hey, you know paragliding, where they have that sail and they lay like Superman, go, I don't know about that, and walk away.
Fly away.
No, don't fly away. You bloody at a party.
Glide away.
Glide away.
Glide away.
Roll away.
All right. Good night, Australia.